It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. It's time for the latest live weekly event from Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown. This week we've got the Duel of Legends. Looks like we're kind of continuing on this fantastic fashion that we've had of late, this versus that. Of course, valid up until the 28th of May. It's time for a duel this week. The spotlight is on legendary rivalries of the automotive world. For some gloves, just going to address this one. The rewards are pretty shit, but the event itself is looking like it could be a bit of a banger. We obviously know recently we've had these duel type events, this car versus that car, this category versus that category. Kind of understand if you've been about the game for a little bit now. The weekly events have been absolutely fantastic, and it's looking likely it's going to continue this week. First of all, we'll kick things off here on Hong Kong Island. The first race down at the very bottom of the map here, we've got Sunset Superdrive, a 4.7 mile 2-lap asphalt race in the Shelby Daytona Cobra Coupe versus the Ferrari 250 GTO. A little bit of an expensive race. It is going to be a bit of a leery one. We've actually been using the Daytona Cobra a few times recently, so yeah, max RPO 520 might be alright. We'll have a look at that one as we get along, but a clear dusk race, not 100% if that one's going to be dry, so it could be quite an entertaining one to kick things off. Then we head up to the top right of the map here. We've got driving in the 90s, a 4.5 mile domination stormy dusk race on asphalt, a very wet race we've got lined up in a Mercedes-Benz SL65 AMG Black Series Performance, I believe it is. Yes, it is the Black Series Performance, or the Nissan R35 GTR. And yeah, what we've seen so far with some of these events is, yeah, they're actually good having the this car versus that car, but there's also a bit of a giveaway to what car we're going to use here. A rear-wheel drive versus a four-wheel drive vehicle. In the wet, there's going to be a huge advantage there towards the Nissan R35 GTR. But it's going to be a good one. It's a 4.5 mile domination. I'm sure we'll have a lot of fun with that one nonetheless. Then maybe head up here to the top left of the map. We've got Fast and Ferocious, a 5.7 mile domination, foggy dawn weather conditions, 100% asphalt, in the Bugatti Chiron or the Koenigsegg Agera RS, max RP 870. Now, as we can see, I own neither of these cars. So, where are we going to go with this one? Are we going to be looking at a Bugatti Chiron or a Koenigsegg Agera RS? Well, for me, I already own a Veyron, so I don't actually have an Agera just yet. So coming over to the luxury car dealership, well, where are we going to go with this one? Are we going to look towards the Koenigsegg Agera? 9.9 million credits. It's spendy. It is a very expensive, but I have got 35 million in the bank. I have been building it over the last few days. Obviously want to get ready for season 4, so I'm going to continue to do so. Is it worth taking 10 million out of that pot for the Agera? Or when we come and look at the Chiron, 11.8 million, but it is a living good looking car, isn't it? You guys let me know in the comment section which direction you're going to go in. But I've made my choice. I've bought a new car for this week's live weekly event. We've spent big, guys. We've went all in and bought an Agera. Now, the main reason for me going for the Agera, yes, it was almost 2 million credits less than the Chiron. But we actually used this not too long ago on a delivery mission. Or was it it was a delivery mission. I actually quite liked the car. It was an interesting one, and I don't think it's a popular car per se in game. A lot of people obviously use the Agera instead, but I for one have already got Veyron. I don't have a Koenigsegg, and I think for me it was an easy choice. I wanted to jump into something I don't have. Like I mentioned, I actually quite enjoyed using this on the delivery mission that we kind of had already. So yeah, I went for the Agera RS for this week's event. But before we get there, we're going to have a look at the other events first of all, and unfortunately I'm in the wrong location to get to this this race. We're going to have to head back on the map, but it gives us a little chance to talk about the live weekly events. Of course, I've kind of spoke about these ever since they kind of came to the game. They, for me, are essentially still and always will be, until things do strongly change, the heart and soul of this game. They bring excitement, they bring something different every single week, and I do hope it doesn't change in the aspect that we don't lose them for whatever reason, you know, going into Season 4 with casinos and such. I hope this stays here, and I hope we get these kind of different dynamics each and every week. But, yeah. We wasted that time. We've gotten over here. First of all, we're going to take a look at the first race for today, which is the Driving in the 90s race. R35 GTR versus Mercedes-Benz SL65 AMG. So as we kind of have been doing recently, we're not building tunes for these cars for the initial races, guys. I'm just kind of coming in here with the auto RP, getting this thing leveled to where it should be for the race. Now, I don't think we're going to have the most challenging of races in terms of AI performance. The contrast of cars, let's put it politely here, four-wheel drive Nissan GTR versus a rear-wheel drive AMG Mercedes, I don't feel like it's going to be much of a challenge. However, there will be other R35 GTRs in the race, as we can see. All of the AI cars on the back of me right here are R35 GTRs. Now we can see already that the AI are just pulling up on me, maybe even pulling away from me, with the auto PR balance that I kind of did before we came into the race. Not my favourite thing to do, probably the same as a lot of you guys. We kind of want to be building the car specifically, or I want to be building the car specifically for the race. It's having the best part supplied possible, and it looks like the auto PR for this race in particular, yeah, isn't really doing that. Looks like there could be a bit of a shortcut there for that race when we come back to give it a good attempt. Yeah, it looks like the auto PR isn't balancing the car as good as we would want, so the AI is still pretty close there, which isn't always a bad thing. It does give us a little bit of a challenge having competitive AI, something that we lack in this game, but we're not going to get into that one. So yeah, up here the Nissan R35 GTR is absolutely dominating this. The AI cars, of course, on the back of me just now are R35 GTRs. The car I'm in is the Nissan GTR. The issue I had with this, I kind of spoke about it in the intro for today's video, was the balance between the Nissan R35 and the Mercedes SL65 AMG. They're very different cars. I don't think that's the best balance of cars to have for it, you know, but that's just my opinion. You guys can weigh in on that one. I just feel like there could be another four-wheel drive supercar in our garage that may be a better challenge for the R35, or perhaps we shouldn't be using the R35 against the Mercedes. Perhaps it should be, I don't even have a car coming to mind. I was going to say the BMW M4, but that's a Grand Tourer. Yeah, it's a difficult one. For me, it probably shouldn't be the R35 against the SL65. There should be a different vehicle here, but we're not going to slam on it. We'll enjoy the race we've got here. It's a big, fast, open, expansive sprint domination style race we have got. A bit of twisty section coming up here. We all love these twisties that we've got. But yeah, we're absolutely caking this one. There's not much of a challenge here, which is not always a bad thing. Not always a good thing, but not always a bad thing. 5.5 second lead over the rest of the pack. A little bit of handbrake. Let's enjoy the twisties we've got here. We're not doing this race for time. We're doing this race for fun, to see what it is we've got. Nice power slide there in the GTR. So yeah, it's a good race. I don't mind it. It's not a difficult one. It's not a challenging one. Maybe the AI got close for a little bit, but I think with a well-balanced car, with the right parts applied with it, not doing the auto RP, yeah, you're going to have a lot of fun setting a fast time on this. There feels like there's actually a good bit of grip here. Just for clarity, I've got the standard road tyres fitted on a grip tune that I kind of have there, just auto PR'd. There feels like there's a lot of grip in that race, so I'm pretty sure you guys will have a lot of fun and set some very fast lap times. So just 70 points required this week. Interesting. Slightly disappointed, actually. Just 70 points required. I like the grind of these weekly events. Last week having 150 points required. I like that grind. Just 70 points this week, 7 race wins. It might please a lot of people. For me, I would like it to be a bit more of a grind, but it is what it is. Just 70 points required to complete this week's live weekly event. So I do just want to quickly circle back here before we leave off this race. I was kind of talking during the race. I don't think the R35 GTR was the correct car to be going up against the Mercedes-Benz AMG SL65, whatever it is. I was kind of saying maybe the M4 would be a better competition. Now, obviously I kind of overlooked the categories. The SL65 is a Grand Tourer, as is the M4. To my knowledge, I may be getting that wrong, but I do believe that the M4 is indeed a Grand Tourer, so perhaps that should have been the race. Mercedes versus BMW, SL65 versus M4. I feel there's just too much of a mismatch there between the GTR R35 and the SL65 AMG, but it is what it is, guys. This is what we have got. Enjoy the race. Let me know which car you have chosen. Chances are it's going to be the R35 GTR. So yeah, moving on from what we've just had there, we've kind of understood my thoughts on it. I'm pretty vocal. I like to think I'm quite vocal on things when I see things that I want to see different in the game, but it is what it is. We're not going to get that one changed. What we can do, however, is head on over towards the second race for today. Brakes are not good on this. Definitely going to have to spend some time building a tune for the Agera. But yeah, we're going to head on over, well, to the second race here on Hong Kong Island that we have got today. I've already forgotten what this race is. I cannot remember which vehicles it's actually requiring. Oh yes, I can. It's just came back to me. Sunset Superdrive, the 2-lap circuit race, 100% asphalt, clear dusk, 250 GTO. In the Shelby Cobra Daytona Coupe with a max RP of 520. This one could be quite an interesting race. So just like the first race that we actually had today, another supercar versus Grand Tourer category race. So obviously the Shelby being a supercar, the Ferrari being a Grand Tourer. So maybe that's the dynamic that the game's going with this week, is Grand Tourer versus supercar, or category versus category, where we get absolutely destroyed coming off the line there. Just 520 RP. We will not have slick tyres fitted to this one, guys. I do have the standard road tyres fitted just there, so it's going to be a bit of a lively back end. Have applied a little bit of traction control, kind of like what I like to do here with the Daytona Cobra, just with the back end being as lively as it is, especially when doing a live com. Don't want to concentrate all too much on traction points, braking points, etc. So yeah, kind of being a little bit slow with this one. This feels like a very familiar race. Is this the race we did with the Ferrari California? It feels like that's the race we've got here. Maybe just a similar layout, but nonetheless, we'll have a good attempt at it. Not a fast attempt, nonetheless. I think this is the same race as the Ferrari California. This little jump over, no. On that race, we would have went left back there. Cool. Just to see if we are rinse repeating races. It doesn't seem like that is the case. Right now in the Daytona Cobra, like I kind of expected there, not much of a tune applied to this, well no tune actually applied to this, but auto PR the car to 518. Like I mentioned earlier, slick road tyres are not in play due to the RP cap. Yeah, so it's going to be a challenging race, I would say, to be able to lay down a good lap time, but nonetheless I will expect to see some fantastically fast lap times on the leaderboard. It feels like I probably shouldn't have actually had any traction control applied to this. It feels really reserved and not as leery as I expected the Daytona to typically be for us. We know it is a very leery vehicle, but yeah, it feels like having just 25% traction control applied, it's actually hurting us. I can't really seem to get good power out of it, if that makes sense. I don't like it. I'm going to have to come back and do this race with no traction control and actually pick my parts, like I said, auto PRing the car just for time to get us through the intro essentially here. What are we sitting at? 9:30 AM UK time when I record this video. I like to record them nice and early, guys, so I know what's planned for the week ahead. Then I can plan out my week in terms of racing, how I'm going to handle everything. So yeah, nice and early this morning. Definitely going to have to come back at this one with a car specifically built for the race, because it feels like, one, I've missed a checkpoint. It feels like, one, that, you know, traction control probably isn't a must for this race. Secondly, I don't like the parts that the auto PR has given us. We can see just how slow this is coming up the rev range. Now, whether that's the traction control limiting us, or whether the turbo's perhaps taken off the car, well, the turbo has actually. We can see on the left hand side of the rev counter speedometer there is no boost gauge, so the turbochargers have been taken off the car, obviously, to get it to its RP level. So yeah, I would say that we're not actually going to require any traction control. It is, of course, the turbochargers, when we fit them to this, that make this an absolute demon to drive, with all of that power going through the rear end of the Shelby. So yeah, really hurt myself here having traction control applied. Have a little play with it, guys. If you're typical, if you're like me and you typically put a little bit of traction control onto the Shelby when you're using it, chances are you're not going to need it this time out. I don't think it's going to be a must. I think we're probably going to be alright having no traction control applied to this one. But again, that's just me. You may be totally different. As we can see, it's not a challenge. Obviously, I've not had the best of races. I've actually had a terrible race here, let's be perfectly honest. Not really doing good at all, but the AI is absolutely nowhere to be seen. 15 seconds behind on a wet race. It doesn't come as a surprise, but there's just too much of a gap here. Don't like it. I'm not being negative. Let me just be clear here. I know a lot of you guys get annoyed when I start to be negative, but I've kind of got to be honest with it. I don't like how wide these races are. It might just be me personally. It might be because the car's got a little bit of power applied to it from its stock format. You know, we kind of understand that by now, but there just needs to be an upgrade for the AI. I'm going to stop talking about that because I feel like I talk about it too often and it just comes across as being moaning. So let's stop that where we are. Can't believe we're 4.5 minutes into this race and we're not even at the finish line. We're not far from it, however. It is a nice easy win that we're going to get on the leaderboard here. We've been slow, we've made mistakes, we spun out, but we do of course get a nice easy win. Where of course we do then bag the second set of points, 20 out of 70 now achieved. We can now finally head on over and finally race this Koenigsegg Agera RS. We've spent quite spenny here, but around about 10 million credits we've put into this one, so I've got a little bit of grinding to do over the next few days to make back the 10 million invested into this one. Once again, not coming to the right part of the track. We'll just go up the wrong side of this slip road. Will that take us to where we need to go? I believe if we cut back on ourselves, we might actually get to that. I would have thought if we hovered underneath. No, we're on the complete wrong side of the road here. Dearie dear. Let me come back in a second. So I was on the right part of the road, apologies. I just took the wrong turning. Yeah, we kind of spent a lot of money here, so I kind of want to recoup a lot of that money as soon as I can. A lot of firm grinding is going to take place this week to get me back up to my nice stable 30 million in the bank, but we're going to do it finally, guys, fast and ferocious. That 5.7 mile domination race here in the Bugatti Chiron versus the Agera RS that we have just bought. Max RP is 870. The Agera in its stock format is 869, so there's nothing to do with this car essentially apart from a tune, something we don't have because we have just bought it. So we're going to go into this one in its stock format. So one thing we could actually do here is of course apply the off-road suspension to the Agera. That in turn would lower the RP, the PR of the car, and yeah, we could then obviously apply some upgrades to this car and make it perhaps faster, more grippier, you know, however it is you wanted to kind of balance the car out. The one thing I will say off the line here is it is a very, very wet race. That kind of caught me out here. I was not expecting a wet race in the Agera, and it's quite disappointing actually, because one thing I've kind of had a little bit of an issue with over the course of this game, well, it's the vast amount of wet races that we've got in the hypercar category as we catch some air. It feels like there's way too many wet road races for the hypercar category. Disappointed, but we're going to move on. Sounds like there's been a massive moan video from me today, and that's not what I want to be here. I want to be happy, and I certainly am. Finally getting into the Agera. It's the first time obviously really using it. Wow. In any real vengeance, I would say, any real aggression. Actually really trying to concentrate here because the road is so goddamn slippy, and we've really got to try our hardest here because we might be at risk of not getting good points on this race. I imagine there's going to be some frighteningly fast times set on this leaderboard, whether you guys have chose the Chiron or the Agera. Obviously the Chiron may be the faster car for this race, but I wanted to be in the Agera. It's not a car I see used often in the game, and it's not a car I owned. I've already got a Bugatti, so why have something that I've already got? Why not get into something different? The back end of the Agera kicking out there. This is a proper challenge, guys. The road is very slippy on those standard road tyres. This is a proper challenge. I'm sure you guys are going to actually have a blast doing this one. Ew. It's genuinely taken a lot of concentration even just to keep this thing on the road and not lose the back end at any circumstance. Interesting crossover just there to come through Aberdeen Tunnel, but it would be foot flat to the floor here. Let's see what kind of power, what kind of top ends we can get out of the Agera. blasting easily up to 230 in 4th gear, put it up to 5th gear. Where can we get up to? Can we actually hold this foot flat to the floor around the right hand bend at 255 miles per hour? We certainly can. 255, 250 miles an hour crossing the line. Again, it is a fairly easy win that we've just had there, like we can see, taking maximum points available to me at the time for the domination race. Didn't have the best of starts, but we of course have crossed that start finish line in first place for the 3rd race here on Hong Kong Island. 2 minutes 17. I imagine there's going to be some very quick times on that leaderboard. The 30th set of points collected there. That was a lot trickier than I actually expected it to be. In the Agera, I was actually expecting a bit of a calmer race overall. Certainly wasn't the case just there. Now, chances are the Chiron is going to have a lot more traction, a lot more grip. Chances are the fastest times on that leaderboard are going to be in the Chiron. But I'm probably still going to say I'd rather have the Agera. I like this car, it's fun, it's leery, it's very loud and bold, especially in the yellow-red paint job I kind of chose for it in its stock format. I really like this car. Let me know if you guys have got the Agera and, you know, kind of what you think of it overall. But what we're going to do is head on over to the Ibiza map and take a look at the race selection that we've kind of got over here. Don't want to stretch over 2 videos this week. We've got something important to talk about tomorrow. Stay tuned for that video. But when we do come into the Ibiza map, well, first of all, we've got Wheels of Freedom, a 2.3 mile clear dusk asphalt race, of course. Volkswagen Beetle against the Citroen 2CV with a max RP of just 130. You guys know my feeling on that. I love the Citroen 2CV. Delighted to see it back for this week's event. And then the last race at the top of the Ibiza map is Wakey-Wakey again in the Shelby Cobra Daytona Coupe versus the Lamborghini Miura. That's an interesting one. Again, another car I don't own is a Miura, but I actually quite like it in this game. I've used it on the delivery missions. That's going to be an interesting one. A 3.4 mile 3-lap circuit race. It's clear, of course, it's on Ibiza. 100% asphalt. Once again, a max RP of 520. Kind of looking forward to that one. And I may actually make a video on that because the Miura is a car I don't own yet, but I've used it a few times and I do quite like it. And I think we could have a good, interesting battle there between the Daytona Cobra Coupe and the Lamborghini Miura. But coming back to it, we're obviously going to head on over and tackle out both of these races first of all. Kind of want to use this Agera as much as I can. I've just spent 10 million on it, so we're going to use this travelling across the Ibiza map. Now hopefully my memory serves me fairly well here and I remember where the first race is. I'm sure it's just up here. Yeah, it is up here on the left hand side. It's funny how your brain starts to work with some of these games. You guys will obviously experience it with likes of Grand Theft Auto and Need for Speed Underground 2 and such. You just start to remember where maps are and it's not even where you live, which is, yeah, we spend too much time probably on these maps. But yeah, let's get into it. Wheels of Freedom, Citroen 2CV versus the Volkswagen Beetle. Now of course, it's not going to be a super fast race, but for me it's going to be a little bit of a fun race. It looks to be heavily dominated with the Citroen 2CVs, as it should be. The far superior car in my opinion. Happy for myself to get back here into Brum. Oh god, I forget how slow these cars are after they were nerfed. I don't know if you guys remember or if you were even playing in the very early days when the 2CV was here. This thing was ridiculous, how quickly it got through the rev range with the turbocharger applied to it. This thing was ridiculous, of course. It has since been nerfed, which for me is very unfortunate. I love just how stupid this thing was in game, maxing out 69, very nice, miles per hour down the big straight here. I don't even know what tunes apply to this. This might even be the standard tune because I just remember this thing being so much faster. I do still love it. It is still fun. It's still quirky. We need that in these games. These fun, stupid, quirky little vehicles. It's why I kind of fell in love with the live weekly events. It threw us into these cars that we typically would never use. Whenever in this game did you ever consider buying a Citroen 2CV? It just never crossed your radar until that first live weekly event. And it was all about celebrating the Citroen 2CV. People shrugged it off, they laughed at it. What an event that 2CV birthday was. It was genuinely a fantastic, fantastic introduction to the live weekly events, and that's where this all stemmed from. So yeah, it probably is where I've got a bit of a soft spot for this car. It kind of brought the attention to the live weekly event, so I'm more than happy to be getting back into it. Like I said though, yeah, it's not going to be the quickest, the fastest, the most exciting of races, but that's probably half the fun part that we've got here, going from the Agera, crossing the start finish line at 250 miles an hour into the Citroen 2CV where we're maxing out at 69 miles an hour. I like it. It's the fun dynamic of these races. Now the race itself, let's have a talk about it. 8.5 second lead over the rest of the pack. Once again, the AI not much of a challenge here. The car, well, it's a Citroen 2CV. It's not fast, it's not leery, but it's still fun and quirky. It's all about, you know, how fast can you carry this through the corners? Can you get around this lap without touching the brakes as much as possible? Carry as much momentum around the map as you can. I actually do quite like this race. It's not a bad one overall. We're just down on power, down that back straight. Like I said, 69 miles an hour we topped out at. Perhaps maybe need to spend a little time and build a different tune for that one, because I do genuinely love coming back and racing this car. I don't own the Beetle, don't want to own the Beetle. I'm more than happy in my Brum, my little 2CV Citroen. But there we go, a nice easy win for the 4th race this week. Where of course we box off the 4th race win. Just 3 wins left to do. I might even just do them today so the live weekly event is complete. 40 points now done out of the 70 required for our gloves. So what I did just do there, guys, I'd done the I've done the Citroen 2CV race 2 more times just to get the points up on the board. It looks like it's going to be quite a quick race. If you're just looking to come in and blast through the live weekly events, a couple of minutes, absolute tops, and you'll complete out that race. Kind of wanting to do that so we can come in here and actually complete off the live weekly event before we've even set a competitive time. Just enjoying what we've kind of got here, just 70 points required. We'll dust it off today with the last race on the Ibiza map, Wakey-Wakey. This 3-lap circuit race in the Shelby Daytona Cobra Coupe versus the Lamborghini Miura. So coming into this race, well, it's much like the earlier race in the Daytona Cobra Coupe. Max RP is 520, so we know we're not going to have a turbocharger. We know we're not going to have slick tyres. It's going to be the stock road tyres. So what I have done is turned off traction control, and I want to see if this becomes more manageable to drive, in the aspect that, well, the traction control was just too aggressive last time out, and I struggled to come out of corners, I struggled to get any power down. This time out, it looks like we're actually going to have a real battle with the AI to actually be able to get a race win here. We're already well at the back of the pack here, and this is unfamiliar territory. This is not something I've experienced much, if ever, in this game, actually having a battle with the AI. Nice little section we just had there, as I forget to select first gear, unfortunately stuck in neutral. Yeah, we've actually got a real battle with the AI here to be able to get a podium for starters. We're struggling to even get 3rd place, undercut the AI just there, worked to our advantage. Oh, we went wide around the right-hander, been able to carry some momentum. That little kickback right-hander there came at me quite quickly, so yeah, that didn't work in my favour, but we're 3rd place. We've got a lot of work to do here to catch up with the rest of the pack here. 1st, 2nd place, 1st place already stretching quite a substantial lead on us. This is very much unfamiliar territory. I'm not used to battling the AI ever, so it's good, and this is actually something that I've just moaned about earlier in today's video, and well, it's already came back to us. I want to be battling. If it's AI battles, it's AI battles. We're half a second down on the guy ahead. Can we carry a bit more speed through these corners here? Can we actually keep the back end under control? Pretend I meant to do that power slide just there. I certainly didn't. Right, we've got 2nd place. Challenge is, of course, 1st place. He's right there, but unfortunately April managing to power out of that corner quicker than I did. Can I stick up the inside just there? Yes, I can. April, are you going to give me the space? You're not. You're just going to crash into me. Elbows out racing. It is. Oh, God. That little tap in the back end spun out the Daytona, so we have managed to capture 1st place, but I don't think it's going to be plain sailing. I think this is going to be a battle to the end of this race. The AI getting the power advantage over me just here. Auto PR isn't the way forward, but I've done it for speed, well, or not for speed rather, for today's video. Can I pick a decent braking zone? I don't want to come into here too hot. Obviously barriers either side of the road. Yes, it's Ibiza, and smashing into the barriers won't matter all too much as I drop into neutral opposed to 1st gear. That's hurt me quite a lot there. The AI all over the back end. Can I hold my nerve? Can we keep this in 1st place? and box off this week's live weekly event. Right hand into left hand chicane, a lot tighter there without the AI in our way. Another little chicane just here, much tighter once again without the AI. Yeah, a lot better without the AI just there, but I'm not complaining whatsoever. I'm actually very happy to have had a little battle there with the AI. Oh, that's a right-hander. Don't want to be losing that one. We actually came through there. Okay, I thought we were going to lose that little section of the track coming in too hot and too wide. But we're good. On the right-hand off-ramp here, up towards the freeway section. Just losing the back end, but we caught it at the last second. Push forward. Start-finish line once again. Winning the 5th and final race, well actually 7th and final race for this week's live weekly events. It wasn't a quick time, it wasn't a clean race, but it was actually a very enjoyable one. Actually having a relatively difficult battle there with the AI. I did genuinely very much enjoy that race, and having no traction control applied, well, it was actually better there for the Shelby Daytona Cobra Coupe. As we have now completed off the live weekly events, we have of course now got all 70 points required for this week's live weekly events. The Duel of Legends, where yeah, we get a set of driving gloves. I don't like it as reward. I genuinely think it's a very shit reward. It's not something I'm ever going to use in game. I am disappointed by that, but what I am not disappointed by is the races that we just had. Once again, it was a fantastic set of races. Yes, I would have made changes. I wouldn't have had the Nissan R35 GTR going up against the SL65. I would have had the BMW M4, but that's my choice, that's my thoughts. You guys weigh in as well, give me your thoughts and your opinions. Which cars would you have had versus cars which were in the game, and also which cars did you choose for the races this week? For me, it is still indeed the heart and soul of the game. I love coming back every Wednesday, finding out what we have got for the week's event, then obviously coming back, rinse repeating some of the races, setting some fast times on the leaderboard. Last week out managing to top out the Audi TT race until Paku and Asai Yunon late on Tuesday set their lap times and of course knocked me down to 3rd place. But I'm not going to get hung up on that one. It was a fantastic little battle we had there. This week we've got some good races once again. I expect to see some fantastic times on that leaderboard, as we always do, guys. Once again, I do hope you have enjoyed today's video. Please do like and subscribe as always, guys, and stay tuned for more updates on Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown.